What's good, guys? I'm Rashad from the Playground Crew, and I want to talk today about being in play. When you're a kid, you're in one of two environments. You're either playing, smiling, laughing, having fun, and by default, you make everyone around you happy, or you're screaming, crying, throwing a fit, really trying to get back into play, right? So there's only those two states that we knew. As we grew up, we added a third element to it. And we sort of evolved out of play and into like a state of normalcy, like into anxiety and stress and frustration. And that's just a part of everyday life now. So what we have to do, instead of living in play, we have to entertain ourselves to have temporary moments of play. So we go to sporting events, go watch a movie, see our favorite band, or see a comedian, turn on Netflix or whatever, right? We have to pay to enjoy ourselves and entertain ourselves because we don't think it can be a normal, everyday part of our life. So what I want to do today is I want to take some time to show you a few significant things that you can do to get yourself back into a permanent state of play where life is pleasurable, anxiety is reduced, and when turbulent times come our way, we can manage and navigate those in a way where we have control over them and they don't have control over us. So here are the 3 steps for play. Step number 1, keep small things small. Most of the things we're frustrated with, if we look back at them after a couple years, we see how we blew them out of proportion. And the reason that is because as human beings, we naturally amplify things in order to deal with them in the moment. I remember when we'd be playing Mafia and I'd be the narrator, so I'm like running the game, and if you've ever played Mafia, you know that you can't talk once you die. If you die, you kind of ruin the game and you just tell everyone what happened. So when someone would die and they would start revealing what's happening, I would kind of start freaking out and try to do everything I can to shut them up. I'd go crazy, right? I'd be super frustrated and I'd be like, no, stop talking, right? From my perspective, the game's ruined because basically they just told everyone what happened. But if I would have waited just a little bit, I would have noticed, like after 10 minutes, everyone forgot everything that was said. I couldn't see it at first and I turned it into a big problem, but no one in the group trusted what was said by that person anyways. I mean, that's the reason they killed them off in the first place, right? So it's super important to keep small things small. Treat them as they are, right? Wait patiently and be deliberate and never lose hope. Like, don't jump to conclusions and don't make things worse. Now, that brings me to step number 2. There's no better place that you should be. If there is and you know it, then shame on you, just do everyone a favor and go there, okay? Now, if you're forced to be somewhere and you don't want to be there, like, your family is forcing you to be somewhere, or you're at work or school or in prison or whatever, right? Well, it's kind of been decided for you and you've decided to go along with that, right? So now you're there and you just need to make the most out of it. There's nothing you can do, and that's the best place that you can be. I remember when I'd be with my roommates and I'd have an exam that night and I wouldn't be able to get that exam out of my head. So I'm trying to be in the moment, but there's just something going on. Now, when that happens, as much as I wanted to procrastinate studying, there's a point where I just had to get out of there because, again, I couldn't have had fun and I couldn't have been in play thinking about that thing. So if I did set an alarm and I knew that, I was gonna be waiting until that time to start studying, then in that moment, I'd have to just be in the moment. For that time until the alarm hits, every time that exam or something would pop up into my head, I have to remind myself, oh, there's no better place I should be right now. Thank God, and just dive back into the moment. But sometimes you can't do that. So when you can't do that, it brings me to step number 3, all right? Because that's when resistance creeps in, okay? Step number 3 is avoid and recognize resistance. Okay, now this step is key. Resistance shows up in so many shapes and forms, and they are the enemy of play. But resistance can be dealt with. All resistances can be dealt with in the exact same way. They have a weakness. Resistance is like a little demon that runs around causing chaos in your life, and they always hide behind things that are super important to you. Okay, so that's how you find them. Look for those things. That's why there's always like a justification for why you did something wrong. Like, oh, it was because this is super important and this is super important and this because of this principle or that idea or whatever it is, right? Now, they're super sensitive, those little demons. As soon as you see them, boom, they poof, they evaporate. They don't like to be seen, they don't like to be labeled or judged, and they especially don't like to be thought of as resistance, right? Because they like to feel like they're super important, and they want to be powerful, right? So that's why they cling to those really important ideas in your head. But as soon as you spot them and you see them for what they are, boom, they burst into flames and they're gone, okay? So how do we recognize these resistance demons? Because they look different for all of us, right? Everyone has resistances to different things, right? Wrong. They actually feel and look the exact same way for all of us. So the trigger is the same. They're the root of anxiety. They feel like frustration. They feel like worry. They feel like things aren't going the way I want them to go. They feel like if I don't do something right now, or if I don't make that other person do what I'm saying, everything's gonna go wrong, and they don't see what I'm seeing or whatever, right? It's always like a worry of what will happen. So when that anxiety kicks in, there's a resistance demon lurking. So what you have to do is you have to train yourself to go hunting for those little bastards every time you get triggered, okay? So when that frustration triggers and that anxiety comes in, go hunting, right? By making this a habit, what you'll do now, instead of reacting in the situation in the moment, what you'll do is you'll start looking for some demons to kill instead. And you can turn this into a game, right? And realize that the resistance is what prevents you from keeping the small things small. So it's gonna prevent you from doing step 1 and step 2 and step 3. And that's why it's the enemy of play, okay? And it's what keeps the rational part of your soul from being in control. It basically makes your life a living hell. So keep these 3 steps in mind and build those habits and turn your work into play, and your play will turn into work. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more play videos and share if this resonates with you. See you later.